Several years ago, Gabi Lowe and her daughter Jenna came to the attention of the public, both in South Africa and abroad, with the Get Me to 21 campaign. Jenna suffered from a rare condition known as pulmonary arterial hypertension. Now, she desperately needed a double lung transplant, and unfortunately, this was not to be eventually. Gabby then pushed to both raise awareness of the rare conditions and the desperate need for organ donors. It's been 3 years since Jenna has died, and now Gabby has written this book about her journey, and she joins me now in the studio. Gabby, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us, and I suppose many people will say thank you for taking the time to write this book, because this could not have been easy. If I could start by reading some part of the introduction to the book. You say, it's been 3 long excruciating years since you died, Jen. I know I have to tell your story, but it's overwhelming. I'm immobilized by the enormity of it and cannot seem to start. Help me, Jen. How can I ever do you justice? How can I find the courage to relive it? And that's how it started for you.
That's how it started, yeah.
And
it was a lot of courage.
Was it difficult just to start?
It was, but once I did get started, I couldn't stop. And I felt like she was there with me every step of the way. I had this little ritual that I developed, that I lit a candle every time I wrote. And yeah, I really did feel she was with me.
Well, it's quite a thick book, so it must have been quite a few candles that you went through.
It was a lot of candles, very thick candles that I went through, yes.
Was it a very personal process for you, or did it also take a lot of talking through feelings with the family that was with you all the way as well?
It was both. So the 3 years leading up to me starting writing the book has been a lot of talking through feelings with family and a lot of dealing with grief, adversity, loss and post-traumatic stress after 6 months in ICU. She did receive her lungs and then she had 6 very difficult months in ICU. But once I started writing, it was a deeply personal process. And I really went inwards and knuckled down and had to walk through the fire to produce the book.
Now, if you could take us back, if you don't mind, to the days where you came to terms, you and Jenna came to terms, Jen, came to terms with the diagnosis. Because at the time, you were just a mother with a teenage daughter and your family receiving news of a very serious and very rare condition. What do you remember of those days?
Wow, I remember the struggle to, first of all, really take that in and believe that it was possible that my beautiful, healthy child had such a rare and degenerative condition. But once I did, then the very next thing was, where is the help? Where's the expertise? Where are the drugs? Where are the treatments that we need? And that then became our plight.
Were you shocked by the lack of help and information and, of course, also donors out there at the time?
Absolutely. And initially it wasn't about donors, it was about getting the treatment, because it took me a while to eventually realize and accept that what she really needed at the end of the day, after 3 years of fighting to get drugs into the country that she needed and that other PH patients in South Africa still need, that she actually really did need to then have a double lung transplant, and it was only then that we realized just how dire it is in South Africa around organ donation.
When was the trigger that this was not actually just a battle for your family and your daughter, but also you had the ability to change the lives of so many South Africans? Was it a conscious decision that you came to in a moment?
It was a conscious decision, and it wasn't in a moment, it was in many moments. And I think that when we realized just how little was available for her, I started to do my research. In fact, I started to really do a lot of research and realized that there are patients all over the world, and they have access to treatment, to care centers of excellence, in fact, for pulmonary hypertension. So why was there nothing in South Africa? And then it became clear to me that we were not alone, that there were other patients out there. And so Jen, who was really born with a social conscience, was very determined to make a difference for everybody else with her condition. And I think because she was so eloquent and bright, there was just something about her that really did touch people, that she was able to use that to really make a difference to other patients' lives. And that became her, I think it became her way of staying present, of staying alive. It gave her a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning, which I think when you're that young and you're facing your own mortality, you know, you cling to that sense of purpose. And so she became really passionate about the cause of raising awareness for PH and for organ donation.
The idea behind Get Me to 21, Get Me to my 21st birthday, which is such a landmark here for any human being.
Yes.
Whose idea was that?
That was Jenna's idea. So it was originally a thought from an agency, Gabi Lowe, who based in Cape Town. And they approached her and she said she wasn't ready for that. But when she was eventually emergency listed, she said to me, you know what, we hadn't realized just how dire it is. We need to do this. Even if I don't give my lungs, what can we do to just raise consciousness in South Africa around organ donation? And so that 40-second video of her imploring the country, she invited the whole nation to her 21st birthday and really said, all you need to do to come is to sign up as an organ donor, because if I don't get my lungs, I'm not going to make it to 21.
The moment when you found out that there was a donor for her, after such a long search and an exhaustive search internationally and locally, that high must have been in extreme contrast to the low that was to come when you realized she really now needed to try and battle for the life and her body trying to accept this very important treasure that it's been given in the form of this donation of organs.
And an absolute gift, yes. A bittersweet moment, because many transplants are incredibly successful. Lung transplants are very difficult. So we were very aware that even if she did get the lungs, which she did on that day, the 10th of December 2014, that it wasn't a guarantee. And so when that call came, it was this bittersweet combination of sheer joy and hope and absolute fear that she wouldn't survive the transplant. But she was so far gone by then that she could no longer leave the house. And so Jenna, there was no way she was not going to accept the organs. Regardless of the risk attached, she wanted to live. She wanted that chance.
What are you hoping people who read this book, perhaps some who haven't heard about the Get Me to 21 campaign of Gabi and Jenna Lowe, what are you hoping that they will take away from this book?
So much. That's a good question, because it's about how do you stand up and campaign for yourself? How do you not take no as an answer? How do you fight the gaps in medical care? How do you become an advocate for everybody else, not just for yourself? How do you face adversity? How do you move through this kind of a challenge as a family? How do you stand up and live every day in a way that matters in the face of death?
Do you think Jen would have been proud?
I know she is.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Gabi Lowe's the book, Get Me to 21, her story, her family, and indeed Jenna Lowe as well. Thank you so much.